What's up guys, welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you want to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Ho, this is my room?
Letting the curious Veldora look around a little, Rimuru took out a set of furniture from his stomach. Deftly, he laid down a carpet woven by their town's goblinas, placing a handmade desk and chair set on top of it. There was also a sofa in case Veldora wanted to lie down, as well as a bed that Rimuru wasn't sure would be used very much. The place looked comfy enough to Rimuru, and he even copied some manga he knew Veldora would like and filed it all into a bookshelf on the wall. The main chamber was dark and foreboding. This one was a cheerful little studio perfect for young, urban singles.
"Oh, how nice,"
chirped Ramirez, looking a bit envious.
"I'd like some furniture like this, too, you know."
Rimuru promised he'd bring her some next time he stopped by. I wasn't sure what to do about sizing it for her, but judging from how Ramirez was already spread out on the sofa and reading manga, I guess I didn't need to worry. And whoa, there's Veldora sprawled in bed and doing the same thing. Guess I made him happy. If anyone saw Veldora in here, the solemn majesty of the main chamber would totally go to waste. Rimuru really hoped no adventurers would see Veldora like this, as unlikely as that'd be. Well, no need to go overboard. They spent the afternoon getting Veldora's room in order before wrapping up the day. 1 week later, the pace had dropped a bit toward the end. The labyrinth was complete down to the 100th floor. The interior, as Rimuru directed, was made out of blocks whose structure could be altered freely, allowing them to switch the paths around once every few days. This way, even if anyone memorized the way down, they'd have to start all over next time. Rimuru's talking truly demonic difficulty here. Selling maps would be sacrilege, he thought. He wanted this to be a true gauntlet, and this way, it'd be a new quest every time, always fresh, retaining its difficulty, never getting boring. As a kind of fail-safe, Rimuru did provide save points every 10th floor. It turns out that spatial motion was possible in Ramirez's labyrinths under certain conditions. This wasn't affected by the local magicules, amazingly. It made it possible to do things like transport food in and out, super useful. And it also worked on people, letting them freely travel back to these preset locations. In other words, save points, through and through. Reach one, and you get to start from there next time. It works on your fellow party members, too. You could cheat a little and bring someone below where they've been before. There was some debate about that quirk, but Rimuru decided to go with it, see how people used, or abused, the feature, and adjust as needed. Besides, even if you cheat your way down a few floors, you'll still have to deal with the challenge waiting down there. There's a boss stationed at every level, guardians that work along the lines of the local boss warlords dotted around the forest of Jura. Rimuru was thinking of making the ones located before save points particularly powerful. If you want to take those guys down, save points weren't going to help you. Basically, someone would need to be strong enough to reach a save point in the first place before they could take others down there, so Rimuru didn't think anyone would try anything too stupid with them. If a problem came along, they could always reconsider. They had some nice bonuses in the treasure chests, after all, so Rimuru hoped their visitors would try hard to defeat the bosses on each floor. Was it okay for our bosses to kill, or be killed, by the way? Sure, that was another key point. Ramirez's mazecraft had the power to revive life itself, resurrecting any adventurers who came into the dungeon. This could be done only with the subject's permission, but as long as he or she existed as a consenting part of Ramirez's realm, it was all good. Ramirez was, in essence, the eternal leader of anything made with mazecraft. If she was killed, the whole thing would disappear, but otherwise, any of her servants could get revived at a save point, and a servant was anyone she had forged a pact with or otherwise agreed to the presence of. Rimuru still couldn't believe the power of this skill. Now he sees why she wanted Beretta so bad. Ramirez was no big deal out on the surface, but in her world, she was invincible. It's just that the invincibility only worked on people who were part of that world. It didn't work on golems with no free will, including that elemental colossus that vanished. Beretta, meanwhile, wasn't just a puppet, and that meant he was invincible, now that he served Ramirez. She had trainee, too, now, which made Rimuru begin to wonder if he should start worrying about them. Trainee was kind of strong, after all, and if she couldn't be destroyed, not even Benimaru or Shion could beat her. Beretta and trainee were still outside, beavering away at the arena construction work, but still. Thanks to Ramirez's hard work, the labyrinth was smoothly approaching completion. Once things calmed down a bit, Rimuru would need to talk to her and her servants about keeping the maze defensible. But that'd be later.
Ramirez, did you make the thing I asked for?
Oh, this, right? Here it is.
This was a resurrection item. In order to receive the immortal attribute within a mazecraft world, you needed to give your express permission. But they planned to have tons of people storming in, and if it was open to the general public, it'd be a pain to get everyone's agreement on paper. Maybe Ramirez could keep track of a small handful of visitors, but if multiple parties were running around at once, she couldn't keep up. That's why Rimuru asked if there was a disposable item for single-use resurrection purposes. What she gave Rimuru now looked like a regular old armlet, knotted together like a friendship bracelet.
Did you check to see if this works?
Sure did. I tried it out on Beretta last night.
Whoa, what are you doing to him?
Apparently, Beretta willingly agreed to this, his reasoning being, I am a demon, so even in the worst case, I will not truly die. Rimuru knows he asked and all, but this was ridiculous. Thanks to that, however, he knew they had a working bracelet. Trainee had taken Beretta's core out of his body, and within 10 seconds, the corpse was transported out of the dungeon and fully revived.
Perfect. I appreciate Beretta being brave enough to try it.
Ramirez smiled and nodded.
Oh, yes. This was the first disposable item I ever tried to make, after all. I figured it was possible, but I'm just glad it worked.
This was her first time? So what if it didn't work? I shuddered at the thought. She could have at least tested it on animals or something. I wish she wouldn't be so rash. Regardless, we now had resurrection bracelets. Ramirez reported that she'd also prepare return whistles that brought you back to the surface in an emergency. We could sell both of these at the labyrinth entrance. Buy them or don't, it's your choice. Don't blame us if you die or get lost down there, though. Me, I'd definitely buy 'em. We could work out the prices we'd charge later, but for now, we were all set. If you think about it, though, these resurrection bracelets are just Ramirez's power in a handy physical form. All it did was put you back at the dungeon's entrance in the state you entered it in, assuming you died within the labyrinth. Rimuru thinks they'd better carefully explain to customers that it wouldn't revive you just anywhere in the world. Some people out there, you know, it's in one ear and out the other. If they die outside somewhere because they assumed the wrong thing, that's their problem, but Rimuru would still feel bad for them, so he ought to make sure he gets the message across. So the basic framework of the dungeon was complete. Not bad for a single week's work. Rimuru asked Raphael out of curiosity if it could make something like this for him, but...
Report. The subject Ramirez's intrinsic skill mazecraft cannot be replicated.
It sure didn't take its time providing that answer. No, only Ramirez could do this, and really, I ought to thank her for camping out on my doorstep.
Great job, Ramirez. Now we can finally move on to part 2 of the plan.
She flitted her wings as she replied.
Of course. I'm a hard worker when I want to be, you know.
Rimuru turned to Veldora.
Well, sorry this took so long, but I think it's time for you to let your aura out.
Ah, the time has come, has it? I am ready.
Yes, the moment was here. The dungeon had ducts and stairways connecting all 100 floors to one another. How did they keep things ventilated all the way to the bottom? With magic, and that's the best answer you can get from Rimuru. Maybe they didn't need those ducts at all, but they were there to ensure magicules would make their way to each floor. And that rush of magicules would happen once Veldora came to that central chamber in floor 100, assumed his original form, and cut loose.
Alright, here I go.
I didn't need the theatrical shouting, but I suppose he felt better that way. Instantly, a spectacularly evil aura engulfed Ramirez and Rimuru. Rimuru had enclosed them in an absolute defense barrier, just in case, but for a moment, it felt like a bomb went off in front of them.
Sheesh, that was dangerous.
A shaky Ramirez said.
If you didn't protect me, I might have been blown right out of here.
Yes, that was stronger than Rimuru thought. The shockwave was packed with an intense concentration of magicules, easily enough to kill a normal person.
Make way for Veldora.
The boss chamber, Veldora's underground lair, was pretty large, but with the storm dragon back to his normal size, it actually seemed a tad cramped. I hadn't seen him in dragon form in a while, and the sight was just as stately and magnificent as I recalled. Seriously, if he would just keep his mouth shut, he'd be so majestic.
Ah, such a relief. But ooh, what an onrush that was. If I did that outdoors, there might have been a little trouble.
He made it sound so casual, but that scenario would have been a disaster. And if it was such a relief, why were there still magicules coursing out of him?
Wow, Master, I didn't think you'd wreck the labyrinth itself.
Ramirez was right. The explosion had caved in the walls a bit, the internal pressures had been too much to withstand. And this wasn't even him attacking.
Guess you really were holding in a lot, weren't you? Can you maybe, loosen the valve on it a bit now and then, so it doesn't come to that again?
That was just the magicules mixed in with the aura blast, after all, and they came in dense. Veldora's total energy count must have been off the charts. No wonder releasing it was so dicey. Definitely gotta vent a bit more often than that from now on. Then Rimuru was struck with a brilliant idea. Why don't we build another room in floor 100 to serve as storage? They could put in the iron ore and so on that they get from the mines, then infuse it with magicules to transform it into magisteel ore in a flash. That stuff's worth its weight in gold, far more in demand than regular metal ore, and it could become a huge resource for them.
Ramirez, can you make another room connecting to this chamber?
Sure, no problem.
She was already hopping to it. Next time I stop by, I'll bring in some of the metal ore we have in storage around town. As Rimuru schemed internally, the magicules gradually began to distribute themselves around the dungeon, just as planned. Most floors still didn't have walls or internal structures, so there was nothing stopping them from diffusing into every corner of the labyrinth. The magicule count on floor 50, even, still surpassed what you saw in the deepest part of the sealed cave. Now they'd just have to wait for monsters to start appearing. At this rate, Rimuru could expect some real juggernauts. Veldora spent the rest of the day releasing his magic and chilling dragon style in his lair, and the next day, Rimuru brought Beretta and Trainee with him.
Ah, Rimuru.
Veldora purred to Rimuru.
Last night was the most enjoyable one for me in ages.
Oh, good. Keep releasing as much as you want from now on, okay? No holding back. Just never do it outside of here, okay?
Oh, I understand.
Did he? I wasn't sure, but I had to take him at his word.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shout out to Neil Thakar, John Mar de Malaluan, Wilfred Miller, Asif Vai, Delquin Albury, John Wise, Jake Rom, Anshu Mishra, Abel Brilliant, Retard Idris, Chad Vota, Mars Bull, Coriad Fina, Bunny, Yusef BTR, and last but not the least, shout out to Bunjin Cozy de la Lisa. I'll see you guys in the next video.